Michael A. Patterson, and we walked in the Northeast, and we stopped specifically at the Gold Mart where Julius Greer was murdered on Sunday. And we got a chance to talk with a lot of residents in that neighborhood, lots of business owners, to hear about what was going on with that situation. It talks about, it showed us why community involvement was so important. And again, I want to reiterate to anyone that has information on the death of Julius Greer to please come forward. Now, myself and members of my administration are donating money to Crime Stoppers to make sure that anyone that steps forward with information has the chance to get a cash reward. So far, we're close to $9,000. I want to encourage other members in the community to donate to Crime Stoppers. We will also be shaking down the other members of our administration to see if we can get a bigger award for information leading to the apprehension of the individuals that murdered Julius Greer, a 14-year-old child in 9th grade in cold blood. If you saw an article today, his father said, Julius Greer Sr. said that his son was his legacy. Well, one part of his legacy is getting ready to be buried next week. So I want to tell the community to come forward. You can call Crime Stoppers, 423-9300. You can go to their website. You can donate to this fund. But we are putting our money where our mouths are here at City Hall, and we are donating to this fund to hope that this will encourage someone to step forward and maybe get a cash reward. It shouldn't take a cash reward. It should just take someone wanting to come forward and do the right thing, and I'm imploring the community to do that. Also, this is the first time in a long time that we've had double fire fatalities both on Monday and Wednesday. We lost lives in fires on Monday and Wednesday, and again, I want to extend my deepest sympathies to the family and friends of those victims. It is critical that Rochester, especially this weekend, it's going to be cold, that we take steps to prevent fires in your home and be ready if their fire does happen. Edith is something I learned when I was a kid, exit drills in the home. I want to encourage residents, if you do not have a smoke detector, please call 311. If you need help developing a fire escape plan, please call RFD's Community Outreach Unit at 428-3695. We lost 2 lives this week to fires. This has been a extremely tough week. The other thing I want to urge is we saw the COVID cases continue to be at numbers that are frankly unsustainable, including forcing the Rochester City School District to go remote. Get vaccinated, get boosted, mask up, get vaccinated, mask up, boost, please. We want to be back to taking these off and being able to celebrate safely. I was thrilled to see Governor Hochul share her commitment to downtown Rochester. As you know, a major priority for the city. These projects are central to the revitalization of downtown and the waterfront. I want to thank the governor for her commitment to Rochester with the dollars that she announced. I want to make sure that the progress we continue to reflect the desires for our Rochester community. In fact, next week I'll be meeting with other members of the Rochester Downtown Partnership and City Council to make sure that we are doing that. I also wanted to mention that we announced this week that we're looking for ways to better report earnings and overtimes with context and accuracy. With context and accuracy, because I am all about keeping our fiscal house in order. But putting information that is transparent is part of that, but we have to make sure that context is crucial. So I know that there's talk about police overtime, how much we're spending on overtime, but we have to make sure that we're putting that in perspective. When you're down 80 officers and calls for services at service have not abated, we have to make sure that there are individuals that are going to those calls. So as I said, sometimes data in isolation can generate more heat than light. I'm not interested in heat. I'm interested in light. So we need to make sure that we are exploring ways to make sure going forward that we are continuing to be transparent, but also making sense for the public. Because when you have dozens and dozens of open positions and individuals that are out because they are sick with COVID, somebody has to cover those shifts of individuals that are not there physically, and that means the only way to do that is sometimes overtime. So it's important for everyone in the media to make sure that we tell the whole story and that we just don't look at the dollars and say, oh, what's going on here? There's more to the story, as Paul Harvey used to say. I also want to thank the Rochester Week. If anyone has not watched that town hall, you can watch it. And I think by watching that, you will see that teen town hall, you will see why we appointed Dr. Shirley Green as our Commissioner of the Department of Recreation and Human Services. She was fantastic. Our young people asked, and I believe that they are truly not just the future, but also the present. So a great time with our teen hall, and I will say of all the things this week, I think that that is what energized me the most. I am excited about Monroe County's bicentennial, 200 years. They have great celebrations. As you know, Rochester is the heart of Monroe County, as I say often, and I was encouraged to be able to stand with the county executive, Adam Bello, to celebrate this momentous occasion and roll out Celebrate More, which I hope that we can do this year. We want to have some fun this year after all of 2021 and the tough year that we're starting this year. We want to make sure that we can celebrate and really recognize the bicentennial. And then the last couple of things I'll mention is, this didn't get a lot of attention, but I think it's important. We are seeking 30 restaurants to deliver free meals to homebound seniors. This program is because it gives them much needed revenue. We also have an opportunity to make sure that our seniors get something to eat that is nutritious and also delicious. So we want to encourage restaurants to apply to be one of the vendors to supply these to our seniors. Seniors, we want to make sure that they are and are being healthy. We are looking for a city court judge, so I have our corporation counsel here, and we are hoping that we can continue to put applications in for that. So this has been a week that has felt like a year because of all of the things that we have dealt with. Guys, but because this is a week and we wanted to have lots of inaugural events, but we had to scroll them back because of COVID, I figured that I would just give you an update on all the things that we have done in this program that is just about in the books. So with that, I will take any questions that anyone may have. Mr. Brown. So far we have close to from our, but the idea is that this was specifically for a reward. Donate that over to Crime Stoppers. As you know, they are the responsible one in the community for doling out reward funds. We're doing our part, and we want others in the community to do the same thing. Absolutely. I personally donated as well. How much? Yes, I've donated a little over $3,000 personally. Speak up a little bit, Mr. Brown. Yeah, let's not call them bounties. A bounty is on somebody's head and you kill them. We don't want to use that word. We got enough violence in the community. I think the correct word is a reward, okay, for coming forward. Let's not use the word bounties. We're not taking anybody out if they're responsible for doing that. There's a court system that will adjudicate that. So in terms of the reward, how effective they are, I think that they're one tool that we can use. I don't know if one of the things that I and use to do this, they may not. But the opportunity is there for them to come forward and be able to speak up and do the right thing. I'm hoping that it doesn't take somebody to do that, but it gives an opportunity for someone to take advantage of that. One more, and then let's go to Wendy. Go ahead. You got to speak up. Well, I'm always going to request state aid. AIM funding. If that's not something that you know what that means, look up AIM funding. So Rochester, we always want to make sure that we get our state aid. We're happy with what we got, But you know, I've been on a campaign, as has every mayor previous to me, going back to Bill Johnson, to make sure that we get per capita what Syracuse and Buffalo get. That's all we want. We just want to get the same amount per capita. That's something that we will continue to advocate for, but we are very thankful for the investment, particularly in the High Falls Park. We believe that if that becomes a state park, that will become a destination at High Falls with the state, and that will be a great opportunity to be able to drive tourism to that area and also highlight one of the few cities in the country that has a waterfall, a lake, and a river. So we were very, very much excited about that. So I'm more thankful for what we do have. You know, my mother used to always say, Malik, be thankful for what you got, not for what you may not have gotten. So I want to end this by saying that I'm thankful for what we were mentioned in the State of the State. Will I always ask for more? Absolutely. I wouldn't be a good mayor if I didn't. But I am grateful for what we did get, but we will always ask for more as it relates to state aid, because we think that that's where we can come into parity with our sister cities, Buffalo and Syracuse. Wendy, one question.
Well, in talking about asking for more,
Yep.
do you think that the state or anybody can do more to help the city schools after we have learned so much about the damage that
Yes.
has been done? Can be done by having the kids in isolation and remote? Should we bring in the National Guard? Or what can we do to get more bodies in there?
I believe that we need to do everything we can, as long as it is safe, to make sure that we are keeping kids in school. We know the damage that was done when kids were out of school, particularly in urban districts, when it was long periods of time. Particularly when so many of our kids depend on their meals from school, it is absolutely important. But I also want to say, not just from the children's perspective, but from the parents' perspective. Because I experienced this last year with my own children. I was on calls, and then for a couple of months, and I was trying to do homework. And I don't know if you see some of this math these days. It's a little difficult for us parents to juggle that. So not only is it imperative that we do everything we can to get our kids in school, it's important that we also do it because of our parents. Because our parents have jobs, they have other things that they have to do, and they depend on the school really taking off that load during the day. But we have to make sure we do it in a safe way. I believe that we have enough data and information to be able to do that. But the challenge that we have right now in this community is that the numbers are so high, and some of the people who are supposed to be caring for our kids, the teachers, the bus drivers, they too are sick. So that is causing a little bit of the challenge. But my goal, and what I like to see, is to make sure that we do everything possibly, everything under the sun, to make sure that we keep kids out of school for only a minimal amount of time, and that we reassess it constantly, particularly in the city. Particularly in the city. I don't want the city school district to be the only district that has folks out, but we need to make sure that we have a plan to make sure that people feel safe, that teachers feel safe, that parents feel safe, that kids feel safe in the schools, and I think that we can do that, but it was going to take a collaboration of the city, the county, the state, all working together to do that. Of course, you got another topic. Wendy's always got, okay, one more, Wendy, one more.
You know about the accident this morning.
Yes.
Of course, both the Attorney General and the Monroe County District Attorney are investigating. Can you offer any further information, or do you have any comment in regards to that?
The only comment that I have is that I think it's important that all multiple levels of government be involved and investigate, so that way we can get a true picture of what really happened. I think that speculation right now would not be good. And I think that we'll have a clearer picture hopefully over the weekend. You would have to check in with those levels of government to see where their investigations is. All I can speak about is what we're doing here in Rochester. And I will tell you that a person was traveling at a high rate of speed and should not have been. And that's what gets back to us understanding that we live in this community together and we need to respect somebody. And because that person did not have respect, we now have an individual that is deceased because they decided to drive 90 miles an hour down a residential street where the speed limit is 30. And an innocent victim is now dead. That's what I can tell you right now. And we'll get into all the particulars as this unfolds, but it hasn't even been 24 hours yet. But we need to make sure that we bring in the AG, the Attorney General, the police department, to make sure that we get to the bottom of what happened, how it happened, and how the person is going to be held accountable for doing this. Maybe one more, maybe two more. I'll take two more. Yes.
The school thing. Other school districts, instead of shutting down the whole district, shut down maybe
Classrooms or schools. Yep.
Is that something that you think could be a possibility? I mean, every school has the same amount of, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not asking them to
Yeah.
move people over to school,
Right.
but if your school's not,
Well,
and if
Well, again, I think that's a very good question. I think that I would leave that to the school districts to decide how they do that. But that is the way a lot of folks are doing that. I think it is harder for the Rochester City School District, and I know this just from serving as board president there many moons ago. They're larger. You know, you got close to 25, 30,000 kids. But again, I think the underlying point is that we have to make is that we need to do everything within our control to make sure that we can kind of keep schools open to the best of their ability. And if that means closing a school or shutting down classrooms or trying to implement some form of test to stay, that should be our first priority. The bottom line is, though, people want to feel safe, so what can we do to make sure that people are safe that are here? So one of the things I do is I test regularly before I come in here. My senior management team, many of them test regularly. We isolate ones that might be under the weather or sick, so they're not coming in. We're doing some virtual stuff. So I think there are multiple tools that need to be deployed, and what I've said to the school district is that I will do my part. I'm asking that they reach out to the state and the county, but particularly in the county to do their part, and I'm convinced by us working together and communicating regularly that we can make sure that we ensure that kids are getting the best possible education, which means that they need to be in school and not really online on Zoom or Google Classroom for the long term. Short term, you may have to do it for a couple of days, but that is not a long-term solution. Yes?
For the police chief search, are we close to getting a permanent one? And if so, who are some candidates we're looking at?
Oh, good question. We've kicked off the search process. So, for example, we have our firm engaged. I will be talking to our search firm next week. We have not named any candidates yet because there will be a process. There will be a survey that will be coming out, and all of this stuff will be forthcoming in the coming weeks. But I just want to remind you that I've only been on the job for 5 days. So no, we have not. We do not have a list of names. Are there individuals that I would love to get? Absolutely. Absolutely. You always have a target list. You know, my background was in banking, and when there were businesses that you wanted to get, you would make a list of them and you try to get them, but you would never say who they were, right? So I don't have a definitive list of individual that said yes, I want to come to Rochester. That will be forthcoming, and we will be very transparent and communicate every step along the way. So right now, step one is meeting with the search firm, laying out the engagement process, making sure they talk to all the relevant stakeholders, and then the recruitment process will start. So that's where we are right now. So we're in the first quarter. We're not in the fourth quarter yet. So we're still in the first quarter. The game's just starting, but we are going to move with all deliberate speed. The Police Accountability Board, they will be interviewed as part of the process. We will talk to all community stakeholders. All community stakeholders will have a voice. We'll ask them how they feel about a police search. What kind of qualities do you want? All those things are extremely important. Okay, any last question? Who wants the last word? Anybody? Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. So good seeing you all. And I hope you all have a great weekend. And again, I want to underscore, anyone that has information on the death of Julius Greer, you need to come forward. And anyone that wants to contribute should contribute to Crime Stoppers online or call that number 423-9300. Thank you so much, everybody.